Paper Mario fans, I got your attention. Stay tuned tomorrow evening, Saturday evening, for a live stream. Now that I have that out of the way, did you guys know I kind of like Donkey Kong games? They're kind of fire. They're kind of fun. There were some rumors regarding Donkey Kong a little while ago. Like roughly a month ago, people were talking about this. Of us getting a brand new 2D, not 2D, a new Donkey Kong game, period. Just a new Donkey Kong. We don't know whether or not it's going to be 2D or 3D. Apparently, it's being developed by the Mario Odyssey team. And that it's going to have some traits of the Country series, like the Kremlings, Cranky Kong, Diddy Kong, etc. But it's not going to be made by Retro Studios. It's being made in-house at Nintendo, that sort of thing. I figured I'd use this opportunity to talk about that and just Donkey Kong in general. It wasn't just because of the rumors as well. Not too long ago, my best friend showed me Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. We played through the whole game, me and one of my other friends. It was a really fun game. Everyone and their mom praises Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I can completely see why they do. It is a really fun platformer, very innovative. The level design especially is like some of the best I've seen in 2D platforming in general. Like, Tropical Freeze, it's a really good game. I'd go as far to say it's probably better than a lot of 2D Mario games combined. But the only experience I've ever had with Donkey Kong, besides that, was Donkey Kong Country 3 on the Game Boy. Way back in the day, I had DKC 3 on the Game Boy. I know that's like the least popular one of the trilogy. A lot of people don't necessarily like that one. I think it's still a really good game, though I could definitely see why people prefer the first and second games a lot more, especially the second one. So I do have at least a little experience with Donkey Kong here and there. I also did play the first World of Country Returns, and then I sold the game, and I always regret that decision. I'm probably going to emulate it later down the line. But I have experience with Donkey Kong. I do kind of like Donkey Kong. As a character in series, I do like Donkey Kong. I just need to play more of it. That I'm going to use this channel as an opportunity to binge all the Donkey Kong games at some point later down the line. But as far as a new Donkey Kong game goes, I would really hope there's a new game. There's a lot of questions surrounding whether it's going to be 2D or 3D. There's also the anniversary aspect to factor as well. There's a lot of Nintendo series that have like anniversaries this year. Zelda, Kid Icarus, Metroid, Donkey Kong's one of them as well. It's like the 40th anniversary for the whole franchise, but specifically for Country, it's like the 30th. So there would be logical reason to assume we would get a new Donkey Kong game. As to whether or not it'd be 2D or 3D, though, I think it's probably the bigger question. Because, me personally, I'm complacent whenever it'll be 2D or 3D. Donkey Kong games, especially the 2D ones, they always slap. They're always so good. They have that consistency and quality to back themselves up. That I personally, I'm not going to care that much whatever form it'll take as long as it's good, which it'll likely be because it's Donkey Kong. The only 3D Donkey Kong game that exists out there is DK64. DK64 has like some problematic things to it that I don't know about. I think it's like really I don't know. I need to play that game. Again, I need to play more Donkey Kong games, but people talk about how problematic DK64 is in some areas, but that was like the only instance where Donkey Kong had a 3D outing. Ever since then, he's had almost nothing but 2D outings before and after the fact. Yeah, it's some weird stuff here and there, though interesting and fun in its own way, like Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. But a lot of the country games are where Donkey Kong usually sticks his stride to. So one would logically assume they might just stick with another 2D game, but like the fact Tropical Freeze is on the Switch makes me wonder, would it really benefit that much if they just threw another 2D game? I mean Mario. Like Mario has like multiple 2D games on the Switch right now. You have like the NES Classic, not Classic, the online service with Mario World and the original trilogy, New Super Mario Bros. U, Mario Maker 2. But like, I don't necessarily see much of a benefit Donkey Kong could get if they just threw another 2D game. If it was made in-house at Nintendo, it would probably be a solid 2D Donkey Kong, but it's not going to do the franchise that much in terms of like scope and popularity, it making it even bigger than it is. Because some people are also looking at Donkey Kong in terms of how much bigger or more popular or more recognized he could get. Because I mean, everyone loves Donkey Kong, everyone recognizes him, but like, the dude always gets overshadowed by Mario every single time. And a lot of people who play the Donkey Kong games swear on their dead relatives' graves that like the Donkey Kong games, the 2D ones especially, are like so much more interesting and more fun than the Mario ones. The Mario ones are good, but like the Donkey Kong ones are just a lot more engaging, I feel. Tropical Freeze at least has a basis for that. So when you have like such a really good series with such really good 2D games, always outshined and over publicized by Mario, and when the fan base for Donkey Kong, the player base for Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong games in general, could be a lot much more bigger than it is right now, you feel like they could do something more. And then you look at other 2D platformers on the Switch. We have a Yoshi game on there, we have a Kirby game on there, we're probably going to get another Kirby game on there, and we already have Tropical Freeze on the Switch as well. So how much more would the series benefit if they just threw another 2D Donkey Kong game on the system? You know what I mean? It wouldn't inherently be bad. Again, I wouldn't personally mind because Donkey Kong games, they usually are really, really good. The 2D ones especially because they have a consistent track record, but because the series barely saw much of an outing in 3D, people want to see more of that. DK64 was like the only game in 3D, and how problematic that game was. Donkey Kong doesn't experiment a lot with 3D, and I feel like the series could definitely benefit a lot more if it did more with 3D. Because with like the whole 2D, 3D game debate in general with Nintendo, not even just Donkey Kong, like other YouTubers and other people online have talked about this as well. Mario is like the only outlier in this instance, I feel, to where you can make any 2D Mario game on the planet possible. You could piss out the first Super Mario Brothers game, and it'll sell really good, regardless of how many times you throw it out. New Super Mario Brothers, the DS one and the Wii one, they both sold, I think, like the exact same numbers, like, what, 36 million? I think they were like some of the biggest games, one of the best-selling games on their respective platforms. New Super Mario Bros. 2, the blandest, most boring-ass Mario game you could ever play, the epitome of a Mario junk food game. Still one of the best-selling games on 3DS, like over a dozen-ish million copies sold or something like that. New Super Mario Bros. U, granted for the Wii U, for what it was, it didn't sell that well, but New Super U did sell really good on that system, and it's still selling really good on the Switch. It outsold Mario Maker 2, it's within the top-selling best Switch games, so like 2D Mario is always going to sell well. That's my point. That's the only outlier because of Mario's legacy as a platformer, that iconic thing that clicks with people that, oh, it's 2D Mario, I love Mario's. But then that's why you have like a lot of like other B tier, A tier franchises Nintendo has that are also platformers like Donkey Kong, who sell really well, don't get me wrong, like a couple million, 3 to 6 million sometimes, but like that, they never go beyond that. Like they hit that same stride Kirby games hit, like that Kirby games consistently hit like 1 million, sometimes 2 or 3. Star Allies hit 3 million, Yoshi games a couple million, whereas Donkey Kong could do a lot more, and Donkey Kong has debatably as much, if not almost as much, of an iconic legacy and history as Mario does, because they both debuted within the same game. It's just that Mario has done so much more ever since the original Donkey Kong game, whereas you have such good games as Donkey Kong Country, but they're not doing much with the franchise beyond that. They have a few spin-offs here and there, but they haven't done any crazy spin-offs since then. There's the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, but I feel like that's a much more niche audience within the DK fandom itself. Whereas DK fans, that's still a big audience you're trying to cling to and appease, but you can make it so much bigger, and I think that's where the whole 3D argument comes in. People just feel like a 3D game would benefit Donkey Kong a lot more. It could be a lot more experimental, a lot more engaging, entertaining, and fun in general, especially given other franchises. Like, going back to Mario for a second, 3D Mario, it usually didn't sell as well as the 2D Mario games, but like Mario Odyssey, most recent resurgence of the sandbox formula for Mario games, something a lot of people loved growing up with Sunshine and especially 64. It's also within top 10 best-selling Switch games. It's sold over like 20 million copies. It's the best-selling 3D Mario ever. It's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild especially. It like redefined the entire formula for the Zelda series going forward. It completely like innovated the entire formula. It has a massive open world and like all this neat little stuff you could do in this big-ass 3D game. Best-selling Zelda game of all time. Another top 10, top 5 I think bestseller on the Switch. Like Breath of the Wild was that influential and that big for a lot of people. 3D games, they just inherently do so much better on the Switch, especially nowadays, than they would have like a while ago. Because 3D games, they take that much more time, but like people appreciate them that much more, and you could do so much more with characters and worlds in a 3D space than you would 2D. It's just logic. So people think a Donkey Kong game would benefit that much more in a 3D space, especially if, say, they revisited the DK64 formula and they just touched up on some of the ideas they had there and added more to it, or they did something completely different with Donkey Kong in a 3D space. A DK game in 3D, all polished up in HD, that would definitely be super, super fun and engaging for a lot of people. That could definitely bolster and give DK that sort of big push that I think a lot of people would love to have for that franchise, because we barely get that much DK as is. There's Mario vs. Donkey Kong, but they pump out those games relatively regularly. And the country games, we've been getting those less and less as years come. Like Country Returns, that was a really good return to form. A couple years later, Tropical Freeze, and then it's been like, I think, almost 8 years. I think more than 8 years since Tropical Freeze came out. Or 7. Wait, I forget if it came out in 2013 or 2014, but Tropical Freeze came out over half a decade ago. That's my point, and they just ported it on Switch and called it a day. And it's still sold better than the Wii U version, but still a couple million. The point is, 3D Donkey Kong would benefit the series a lot more and give it that push. It deserves. I think it deserves that push to be up along with the A tier. I feel like Nintendo considers Donkey Kong a B tier franchise. Because, like, you have stuff like Kirby, Metroid, and Fire Emblem, and Animal Crossing, and Splatoon. Nintendo puts them in, like, A tier. And then, like, above that, it's like Pokemon, Zelda, and Mario in S tier. I feel like Donkey Kong's beneath the A tier because they don't pump out Donkey Kong. They probably don't see Donkey Kong as, like, that big or important of an IP. Well, they definitely consider it important, but you don't see that many mainline Donkey Kong games or new Donkey Kong games that they pump out more regularly to give it that push, to give it that bigger appeal, more broad appeal, and spectrum of fans and popularity that it could see as the franchise I just listed. A 3D game would definitely benefit it, and if it's made by the Odyssey team, there's a couple things you could talk about with this. With the Odyssey team, right? That's probably a safe assumption that it'll be a good game. Because, like, despite the problems some people may have with the game, Odyssey's still a really good game. A lot of people still love Odyssey, the world, the controls, the collectibles, and all that stuff. People adore the heck out of Odyssey. The team definitely has what it takes to make a really good game. Whether Mario or some other platformer, Donkey Kong, it could definitely be a really good platformer. An actual solid DK collectathon. I think that was the problem with DK64. It was like this really grindy collectathon. I need to actually play that game again. But, yeah, if it's made by the Odyssey development team, that could definitely bode well for that game and series, if that's a thing. However, the only downside, for me personally anyways, is that it could potentially impede the possibility of a sequel to Mario Odyssey, because a lot of people have also been wanting a sequel to Mario Odyssey. And the realistic scenario, the more realistic one in my opinion anyways, if they're doing a new DK game in 3D, as a sacrifice for Odyssey 2, that's a sacrifice I'm honestly willing to make. Because of how good Tropical Freeze was, I'm thoroughly convinced Donkey Kong deserves to be, or treated as a much bigger echelon of Nintendo IPs than Nintendo seems to give them credit for. And it's been such a long ass time since the last new Donkey Kong game. Again, they just ported Tropical Freeze, called it a day. It sold well, but it's the same game on Wii U basically. It's a really good game, but the same game. And it's been years since. A new Donkey Kong game also being made in-house at Nintendo also makes a lot of sense, because Retro Studios, they make Tropical Freeze and Country Returns. They're busy with Metroid Prime 4. They're big, but they probably can't spare enough resources for a whole new Donkey Kong game, whether 2D or 3D. So an in-house studio at Nintendo makes sense. But the other less realistic side of it, if it's made by the Odyssey development team, is the possibility they could still be developing Odyssey 2 and that could just come much later. Because, like, in-house development studios at Nintendo, especially the Odyssey team, that is a massive team. That is a really big team that made Mario Odyssey. If they're using resources just going towards a new Donkey Kong game, that's still probably going to be a lot of development time, resources, and people involved, sure. But, like, you still have plenty of other people left over you could probably throw in for a hypothetical sequel to Odyssey. That, and you can literally just reuse resources that you did with Mario Odyssey already. That, like, it's like the Galaxy 2 effect. I already mentioned that in this whole discussion video of, like, what I want with Odyssey 2. Just reuse a lot of assets and resources like you did with Galaxy 2 when they were making that after Galaxy 1. They could just do the same thing. So I don't feel like an Odyssey 2 would be 100% off the table if this is apparently being made by the Odyssey team, because of how easy it would be to reuse assets and whatnot from Odyssey already, because that game already uses so much and is an already really good looking game that they could get away with it just like they did with Galaxy 2. And when the team is pretty big as is, that I don't think they would need that amount of people. They could probably spare some for a new Donkey Kong. Because, like, as far as the world goes, yeah, Mario and Donkey Kong share, like, the same universe and all that stuff. But you don't necessarily need that much for a big 2D or 3D Donkey Kong game. Even a 3D Donkey Kong game, I don't think you need that much. The collectible aspect and, like, the programming and whatnot, yeah, it's hard Don't get me wrong, and you definitely do need a lot of people of that. But my point is, I don't think you need the same amount of people who made Odyssey to work on a Donkey Kong game. I feel like that's probably something of a slightly smaller scale. So that's the whole thing. And I feel like you could probably tell going throughout this. I was assuming it was a 2D game, a 2D Donkey Kong we could be getting. But the more I'm thinking about it, and like the nature of all these big Switch games on the platform, even with all the 2D platformers, all the safe, typical 2D platformers, the way they're approaching some of these bigger first parties, like Three Houses, Fire Emblem was the biggest game for that one, Splatoon 2, again Mario Odyssey, again Breath of the Wild, Luigi's Mansion 3, like there's this different energy, this different vibe going into a lot of these big IPs and franchises with all these big games, these big open games, these popular games with all these weird new ideas, listening to fan feedback and all this stuff, that I feel like a 3D game could actually be debatably just as reasonable and expectable as a 2D one, if not more if this is being made in-house at Nintendo. Because I could see them trying to experiment more with Donkey Kong, especially if it's being made by the Odyssey team, who experimented a hefty amount with Mario in that game, with Cappy, all the various enemies, the capture mechanic, and the worlds they were in, etc. So, I feel like I'm expecting a 3D Donkey Kong to come at this E3, especially since it is the anniversary of Donkey Kong. Like, they can't not acknowledge Donkey Kong's anniversary and not release something. If it's a 2D game, I'll be okay with it. I'm complacent when it comes to that, because I feel like a 2D game would still suffice as a really good game. But a 3D game would definitely benefit the series a lot more, I feel. And a 3D Donkey Kong game, like a very, very good one that a lot of people would really like, because I think DK64 is more divisive than I know. A 3D Donkey Kong game that could push the boundaries for what this franchise has done, what the series has done up until this point, and how much more popularity and success the series could see moving forward. If this were a hypothetical thing that could end up being true, massive benefit, massive dub for Nintendo and the series moving forward. And I think it's something Donkey Kong definitely deserves if they reach that point, if they do it, if they make it a reality. I feel like we could definitely see a Donkey Kong game come this E3. Could be a 2D game. I'm hoping it's a 3D game. Hopefully we get a Donkey Kong thing this E3. That's in 2 weeks. Oh man, E3's in 2 weeks. Oh no. Oh, I gotta make an E3 predictions video. I mean, you could look at this video for one of my I'll basically just link this in that E3 predictions video. I expect a Donkey Kong game. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Donkey Kong deserves a 3D game? Do you guys expect a 2D game instead? Do you think Nintendo in-house would make a new Donkey Kong game for this anniversary or for this year? Whether or not for the anniversary or because of the fact that it's been that long since we had a new Donkey Kong game. Would you rather it 2D? Would you rather it 3D? What do you think they could do with it? I hope they bring back the Kremlings. I hope they bring back King K. Rool. I want King K. Rool to be relevant again. Because if he's relevant in Donkey Kong again, then you could bet your ass he's going to stay in Smash. And I really hope that's the case. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but I love K. Rool. So, alright. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more discussions on Donkey Kong. This is the first time I ever talked about Donkey Kong on the channel. And yeah, other Nintendo gameplay discussions, gameplays themselves, streams, videos, Mario stuff as well. Just be on the lookout for more content from yours truly. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you guys get the vaccine. No, well, we'll get the vaccine, sure, but I hope you guys stay hydrated, stay healthy, and stay super.
Yo, hey, 妹妹，嘿，过来呀！共和大怕怕呀！拉面，嘿，来面，白哥面，共和再见呀！哈哈，拉面，上手面，谢谢。